bring in Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey. He's the top Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, thanks for joining us. I know you're going to go right back in to the Senate to continue listening. How effective do you believe these opening arguments from the House managers have been?
I think that the House managers have made a powerful, constructive, methodical case outlining to date with the substance of the testimony they elicited over in the House to back up their claims that the president used the powers of his office, both in withholding aid to Ukraine and denying a critical White House meeting to the president, newly elected president of Ukraine, for the purposes of a corrupt effort to ultimately involve Ukraine in our elections in 2020 to help him against Joe Biden. I think, if you don't believe what they say, then you have to look at the video testimony. And the video testimony of these witnesses are pretty compelling, especially when you consider that most of these witnesses are administration witnesses.
The president's allies, as you just heard with Jake and Kerry, the president's allies say there was no mention in the articles of impeachment of a quid pro quo by name or bribery for that matter. Does that weaken the Democrats' case as the Republicans insist?
No, look, I mean, the use of the terminology quid pro quo, which I think has been established here, however, just goes to the very essence of, did the president ultimately use his powers in a corrupt, pervasive way, an abuse of power at the end of the day, which is Article 1, and has he obstructed Congress in doing that? And I have to tell you, as someone sitting in that chamber, I certainly feel that we have been obstructed in getting all of the information that's necessary. I mean, this goes to the very essence, beyond President Trump right now. Article 2, the question of can a president, by an absolute and complete denial of witnesses of the government, of the administration, and documents, ultimately undermine the very essence of what our constitutional order is, which is where Congress acts as a check and balance to this or any other president. And I don't think my Republican colleagues understand that the decisions they're making now may very well alter the very essence of government as we know it.
Senator Menendez, it's Jake Tapper. Let me ask you, speaking of your Republican colleagues, the Senate, as you know, has taken away the ability of C-SPAN to air what's going on in the room other than what's the Senate cameras are showing in the House impeachment manager's presentation. When you look around the room, are your Republican colleagues and your Democratic colleagues listening? Are they focusing? Are they trying to take in what's being presented to them?
I'll tell you, I will say that for the most part, the answer is yes. At least they appear to be listening. I mean, we do have a series of our colleagues, particularly on the other side of the aisle, who seem to get up quite a bit and often leave the chamber for extended periods of time. I think it's important, listen, it's not the great comfort to sit there endless hours, but at the end of the day, I want to hear all of the testimony, and I can't do that if I'm not in the chamber. I think for the most part, the answer is 2 on both sides, but there are a fair number of people on the other side who seem to get up, and I guess they've had enough, and they just don't want to listen to the rest of the testimony.
And Senator, I guess the big question about the House impeachment manager's presentation today is, have they moved the needle? Susan Collins, Mitt Romney, Lamar Alexander, Cory Gardner, Martha McSally, individuals who either are facing tough re-elections in purplish states or maybe they're statesmen of some sort like Alexander Romney. Are any of these individuals, do you think, being convinced by what they hear that maybe this is serious and not just a partisan hoax or witch hunt?
Well, only they can give you that answer, and only time will tell. But I'll tell you this, that I think they must be thinking, some of them who've said that they want to see witnesses, they can make their wish come true by casting a vote for witnesses. I think some of them have to be thinking about, wow, did I really do the right thing by not having witnesses, having heard already of the substance of what some of these witnesses could bring based upon the information that has been elicited somewhat by the House in terms of indirect testimony and also from texts and emails? I think they must be saying to themselves, did I deny myself and the American people that opportunity? I hope that when they recapitulate in terms of thinking about that and ultimately decide that there should be witnesses, because the American people deserve to see the entirety of the truth of what happened here.
Senator Menendez, I know you got to get back in. Thank you very much for joining us.